Thank you, Megan. And good evening, everybody. I think everybody that might speak to you about success will define it differently. And you've heard speakers and you've read books about it. But let me give you my definition of success right up front. I believe that success is the ability to overcome obstacles towards a worthwhile goal. And if that is true, if it is the ability to overcome obstacles towards a worthwhile goal, then every one of you present today need to be commended. Because the first rule to accomplish that is to show up. And so to the organizers, Ricky and Megan, who showed up every evening for you, and the participants that showed up because you wanted to learn something new, challenge yourselves, and of course to the friends and the families of all the participants who were not obstacles, but encouraged you. How many of you listened to speeches back home, back in the office? Yes, I'm seeing some notes. Because when we show up, it's the first step accomplished. And then you have to sweat the small stuff all along the way to accomplish that big goal. So that's the definition of success that I give you up front. But here, being in Africa, in a country that I love so much, having traveled so much, and having now retired my suitcase, let's talk about some lessons we learned from Africa. And if we were standing on the plains of Africa and we were to look at some of the animals, the beautiful animals, that we are so privileged to have in this country, let us just look at some lessons we learned from those animals. One of those animals is the zebra. In the States they say the zebra. Here we tend to say zebra. So I'll just say zebra because when I was talking to audiences in the United States, I had to adapt a number of the words that I used. Not my accent necessarily, but the words that I used in order to be understood. For instance, they don't call it a spanner, they call it a wrench. They don't call it jelly, they call it jello. They don't call it jam, they call it jelly. You with me so far? Okay, so it takes quite a bit to unlearn that after doing that for 7 years. So the zebra. So we have to watch the zebra out on the plains of Africa. Not too close, out there on the plains of Africa. How might we tell the male zebras from the female zebras? Don't go there. Anybody? Don't go there. I said don't go there. Alright, so the male zebras have black stripes on white and the female zebras have white stripes on black. Right? So what we learn from the zebra is to be consistent in life. To be consistent in our dealings with people, with money, and with things. Because the greatest goals and the greatest ideas have died because of lack of consistency. We start out all enthusiastic. I want to learn to speak confidently in front of my colleagues. And something happens along the way. And we don't follow through. And I want to encourage you to, when you leave this grand finale tonight, not to leave it there, but to volunteer in front of organizations that you might be a member of, to be a speaker for them, whether it's Rotary, whether it's the Seroptimists, but walk your talk, try to get the practice you need to be better and better and to continue to grow. Because I also heard that we had a number of people representing F&B today. I'm with F&B. I am. Business account. So surely you will be able to verify the fact that if people don't regularly save and be consistent with some sort of financial plan, they reach a hiccup and, oh, I need that emergency fund, I need to fix that, and then the habit is gone. By now, those of you that join the gym or regular gym goers, March Can you get to the exercise machines now quite comfortably? Whereas January, they jam-packed with those that have made New Year's resolutions and were not consistent. So in our dealings with people, in our dealings with money, in our dealings with things, we need to be consistent. And this we learned from the zebra, who's not black, not white. And the little baby zebra knows its mother from the crowd. Isn't that amazing? With all that going on. So let us move now for a moment to our next animal, the great big elephant, who many of us have had such a privilege to see at Addo Elephant Park. And the elephant, the way the elephant lives in society, it is a matriarchal animal. In other words, no matter if it's male or female, the babies are always in the center of the herd. When you go to Addo and you see the watering hole, they are protecting the young in the middle. They are matriarchal. They're making sure that that baby elephant has water splashed over it and is playing in the mud and always watching out for the danger. So in our society that we've become to in 2011, especially what I've observed a lot of in the United States, is that it's a patriarchal society instead of a matriarchal society where it is not so much caring, and when people ask, how are you? They don't really want, well, you know, actually I'm not feeling so well today. They want, I'm fine. I haven't got time to listen to the story. But it is the matriarchs in society, the matriarchal managers, the matriarchal presidents of the country, leaders, male or female, that prioritize people. And I think if we prioritize people, that is really a key in success. If we think of the stereotypical leadership traits that you would learn about in any leadership course, what would you learn about? What sort of traits would they tell you that great leaders have? Anybody? Vision. Ability to listen. What else? Respect. Decisiveness. Anything else?
Organizational skills.
Motivational skills, yes. Inspirational, motivational, absolutely. Empathy, all right. Now, all of those that we've mentioned that have to do with people are the empathy, the respect, the ability to listen. Because when we think of Adolf Hitler, he had a lot of these traits too. He was able to motivate and inspire a whole nation. But what he lacked was the ability to prioritize people. And he didn't love people enough. All people. He wasn't colorblind. There was also that system in the that led to the Holocaust. And it is that centralized idea of prioritizing people that brought me back to South Africa after living in the United States. It's all very well living amongst the bigger, better, faster, more. But is that what it's really all about? When your family and friends are here, and the reason I actually cannot stay for the entire evening tonight, and I apologize for that because I really do want to hear some more of what I've already heard today, is that I have a friend down from East London who I won't be able to see for quite some time again. And we need to just get together and, you know. So if you go to old age homes, is it depressing? Why is it depressing? Is it depressing because there's so many folks sitting on their own? And what happened there? Who has not prioritized those people, or to a certain extent, the people that are now in old age homes, did they live lives that were so terribly busy that they lost a lot of friends along the way? You know, it's a two-edged sword, isn't it? So by the time we reach a place where we really have the time, we're not rushing to work and our schedules, that we haven't lost the people that really matter along the way. And that's what we learn from the elephant, the great big elephant. And so let's talk about the king of the jungle. The lion. Now the lion is the king of the jungle, yes? The king of the jungle. But why is the lion known as the king of the jungle? The lion is not the fastest, not the smartest, and not the largest animal in the animal kingdom. Why, then, is the lion the king of the jungle? Any ideas? Top of the food chain? The story goes that when the early pioneers and explorers came to Africa and they saw this magnificent animal and the magnificent mane, it looked like a crown. And it looked so fearless to be the top of the food chain, fearless, that it had to be crowned and named and nicknamed the king of the jungle. So the lesson we learn from this great king of the jungle, not the fastest, the largest, the smartest animal statistically, but we learn that in order to succeed in life, we need to lose the ego. We need to lose the fear, because one great barrier to something you have succeeded in doing to this point tonight is getting over the fear of making a fool of yourself, right? Making a statement. Mistake. Yeah, that ain't making a mistake. Don't want to make a mistake. So when we play the what if game with making a fool of yourself, making a mistake, what are those answers that come? All right, so you come up to address the audience, and what might happen? What's the worst thing that could happen? You fall literally on your face. You trip over the wires and you fall on your face. And then what? You get up and you carry on. Now, is there anybody in this room that was thinking to themselves, I hope that person falls flat on their face. And I hope that speech really, really sucks. And I hope it's the most boring speech and disorganized. I hope they lose their way in the middle of the speech. Did any of you ever think that at any point? No. You see, and when the reason I joined Toastmasters was because I was starting to be invited to groups to speak about the work that I did. And if you heard my very first presentation, I apologize. Really, I do, because it was bad. And when I was at school, I wished that the floor would swallow me whole. I would blush bright red and get so self-conscious and hide at the back and do everything so as not to be chosen by the teacher to answer. But when I came to realize that it's not at all about me, not in the vaguest and foggiest about me, it is about the message that you're given. You get over the ego. And you get over that fear. And we can be like the lions in the jungle, the king of the jungle. We don't have to be the smartest, the biggest, the greatest, the prettiest, the handsomest. None of that. And it is with that losing of the ego and losing of the fear that we can go out on a Friday night and sing karaoke. Not relating over there. That we can go out on a Friday night and dance. I don't know if you're really a dancer in your real life, but to dance with all abandon. Where, have any of you ever been to the Italian club on a Friday night? You've heard about it, and you've heard that there's this lineup of single girls, and there's this lineup of single guys, and the single guys have to take the first lady in the queue for a dance around the floor, drop them back at the end of the queue, and then they go back to the front of the queue. They're not allowed to jump the queue. So you can have a variety of ladies in the queue, personalities, ages, height, all the rest of it, and the same with the gentlemen. So you get a number of couples that wouldn't naturally dance or choose to dance together in another circumstance. And it's the best place to take gentlemen to dance who do not have any charisma at all, because they have to dance with all the ladies. And if you ask the ladies, do they mind if the guys cannot dance, because that's their greatest fear. Oh, I can't dance, I've got no rhythm, I've got 2 left feet, and all that. And you ask the ladies, do they mind? There's not a single lady that minds. And when you realize nobody actually wants you to fail, it's when all of that helps you to get over that ego. So let's just look at what all of that together all means. So we've shown up. We've sweated the small stuff. If we can be consistent like the zebra, if we can prioritize people like the elephant, and if we can lose the ego like the lion, we'll be so much more ahead of the curve than anyone else. So I want to wrap this up very neatly by using something that I brought along with me today. And this is a djembe drum. And I want you all to join me in a little exercise we're going to do to help you warm up for the rest of the evening. Alright, so let's divide the room into 3 halves. Someone's listening. 3 halves. Alright, so how about up between the lady and gentleman over there? And maybe between the 2 ladies in the corner? And obviously up to now. Now, we are all, each group is going to represent the 3 animals we have spoken about today. And the zebra, who taught us the lesson of being consistent. Going to gym every day, not once a year, saving regularly. We're going to just use that sound. Shh. They're fabulous. They're fabulous. All right. The second group over here is going to represent the matriarchal elephant, who teaches us that we need to prioritize people, put them in the center of our lives, and work to live, not live to work. And with that animal, we are going to use the word which you know. It's so hard to translate it, isn't it? But one of its meanings means that I cannot be unless there is a we, a us together. So let's try that, folks. You've done this before. Alright, and then our great big king of the jungle, the one who's going to teach us to lose the fear, lose the ego. It's not about us, it's about what we bring to the table, the message, how we can change lives, how we can help others, how we can have fun, karaoke, dancing, speaking, just living life all abandon, without fear. The African battle cry, shakalaka. Shakalaka. Oh, you've also done this before. Whoa. Okay, let's give it a practice round. I'll go twice and then we'll go together, the group separately, and then we'll do that twice. And then let's do it all together, just to give a nice, warm end off. Okay? Let's try that. So let's do it twice. Give yourselves a hand.